Hey Finlay.
Hello Nick.
Last time we saw you, you were in front of a massive Moog SoundLab modular.
Indeed I was.
In a kind of engineer heaven.
Yes I was.
What are you doing here then?
So I'm here to kind of promote and just demonstrate some of my own Eurorack modules, build stuff under the name Future Sound Systems, kind of weird, experimental, slightly distorted, wacky stuff, and something that you can't typically find elsewhere on the market.
All right, because you got the gig with Moog because you could build stuff and fix stuff, so I'm guessing it makes sense that you're building and your own stuff.
Yeah.
So show me.
So really one of my first ever designs was the Convulsion Generator here. And what this is just a simple little twin T resonator. So that's what you'll find at the heart of the 808 kick drum. But this is tuned from about 100 hertz down. So you can do things like toms and 808 kicks with this, but then you can take it all the way down past really the audible range and get kind of wobbly CV patterns out of it.
Can you use it for LFO then?
Kind of. So you need to send like a trigger signal or an envelope into it. But once you do that, you can then get these kind of sinusoidal patterns out of it. So a good way of using it is to send maybe like a trigger sequencer into its input, and then get these kind of like wobbling kind of patterns out of it. It's quite experimental. But
interesting. And what else have you got? You've got a range of stuff, right?
Yeah. So this is kind of the next module that I designed was the Spectral Devastator. So I wanted a filter that was my own, but it sounded quite different to everything else. And this is really a completely different filter core to anything else that you can find on the market. It's got a lot of
it's got a high pass and a low pass.
Yeah. So you can send signals just via the normaling switches there. You can send signals in between both filters. You can get them to self-oscillate with kind of like a pulse sawtooth kind of wave. Use them as VCOs. They don't track, but they will make a lot of noise if you want them to.
So you can use the resonance as a VCO?
Yes,
right.
yeah. It won't track to 1 volt per octave, but you can kind of, if you're using it with like an analog sequencer, you could say get the high pass to do kind of like your VCO duties, and then your low pass to do all of your filtering, so you can get some kind of nice, quite squelchy things out of that, quite acidic, but also very distorted.
Right, okay.
And then kind of more recently, I've put out this VAC1 poker module. So that's 4 Vactrol units, completely passive, which you can use either as low-pass gates or VCAs. It works just kind of, very simply in 6 HP.
So Vactrol is a kind of older electronic circuitry, right? If I understand correctly.
Kind of. It's the coupling of an LED and an LDR. So what that gives you is effectively voltage-controlled resistance. So what you can do with that is then use that, for example, Buckley used it all the time to implement voltage control in a lot of his circuits.
Is it like opto-compressor kind of? Is there any relationship to that?
Yeah, so you'll often find Vactrols in those old like opto-compressors and stuff like that. And they are one of the favourite Vactrols that people used to use all the time is now discontinued, so you can't really get hold of it. But this fortunately uses something that's still on the market. And you can switch it in between low-pass gates, so you get a kind of nice plucky, slightly filtered sound, or just straight VCA.
So do these? I mean, I've heard. I don't know much about this, but the different VCAs have a sound, don't they? I mean, would you describe this as having a sound?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Vactrols exhibit very low distortion. So although you have these kind of strange CV characteristics, so you get a lot of kind of slewing and decay of the CV. You get a very, very clean input to output signal path, I guess. They do bleed a little bit, so it can be quite quiet to keep them completely muted. So if you're going to use this as like the master VCA in your system, you might want to bear that in mind. But for things like doing drums and bass lines, as I'll show you later, it works perfectly fine. And then kind of alongside that, I've got a just 4-channel mixer, the MX1. So you've got 4 audio channels in 4 HP.
With micropots.
Yeah, and it does the job. I mean, we can connect this to the VAC1 and have the outputs of the VAC1 normaled straight into the MX1. So you can use those two, without effectively 4 extra patch cables, or you can use it completely independently, or you can go anywhere in between. So I can have, say, the first 2 channels of my VAC1 normaled into the first 2 channels of my MX1, but then use channels 3 and 4 anywhere else in my system.
Oh, so they're discrete. You've got discrete paths.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
Interesting.
And I can also use that as a gain stage as well. If I patch the output back into one of the inputs, it gives you a nice kind of old school overdrive control.
So I guess we should hear what these things do.
Yeah, I'll
I
get
know
this running.
so we're working on headphones here, so it's a little bit distant, but yeah. So what are you using to sequence?
So I've got I made up a set of pulses for the Music Thing modular radio music module, and that will, I can kind of change the tempo there on the station knob, but it gives you different divisions at different BPMs, as you can set with the kind of bank control.
Preset triggers.
Yeah.
Is the bass drum coming from your...
So yeah, that's coming from up here on the Convulsion Generator. As you can see, you can kind of get very low frequency. I can take that all the way into CV, you probably won't hear it, but yeah, there we go. If we just leave that kind of on the low end of the audio thing. I did have something else patched up as well.
What is this?
Of course it was, yes. I was doing a kind of like bassline thing earlier.
Yeah, I get that.
It's doing something. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. But pretty much everything is being gated off the VAC one here, and then there's another VAC one up there, and being mixed down to this MX1 as well. And there's a bit on the ZDSP here, which is marvelous as well if you want a nice compact DSP module. Just come back down.
So how do people get hold of your stuff then? Where do they?
So they can buy directly from my website. It's www.futuresoundssystems.co.uk, or we sell to very good retailers all around the country, and also in the States and in Australia.
And there's demos and other more detailed things that we'd like to be able to hear here on your website as well?
Yes, yeah. So you can go to my website, you can follow through to, we've got loads of like YouTube demos and things like that. We've got a SoundCloud page. Yeah, just go and have a look really. There's quite a lot of material on the website if you kind of keep digging. It's a bit like a DX7, there's a lot of menus.
Dense.
So yeah.
Finlay, thank you so much.
Absolutely not a problem, Nick, thank you.